So Kneedle Knight is a third-person puzzle platformer game. Really inspired to make this game based on the early thousands kind of Nintendo games that were coming out at the time. The core mechanic, or the thing that makes this game really unique, is that the player is playing as this little tiny mouse who was formerly a knight, who's transformed into this small form by an evil witch, and now has this magic needle that allows them to sew fabric onto surfaces and actually jump in and out of the fabric, going from 3D into 2D and back, helping them platform through the levels and also solve puzzles. The mouse was kind of just like a cute mascot character we came up with in the prototypes.
We came up with this early idea about this mouse that travels between 2D and 3D in some space, and we thought a mouse would be cool because that would make sense for someone that would be going in and out of walls and small spaces. As the game progressed into the mechanics that we have now, it changed a lot from that stuff of him going in walls to just to being a mouse with a magic needle who goes in fabric.
The final idea actually starts with our storylines. How can we differentiate the playstyle in the 3D and the 2D world? What if, because we are fighting a witch, what if we have a needle which we got it from the witch and use the needle as our weapon, and we're making fabric using her magic to defeat her.
There are a lot of 3D platformers out there in the world, but there aren't any how unique our game is. You merge into fabric, you merge out of fabric, you can pop in, you can pop out, you can do a lot of cool things.
As you can see in the game, you go into a fabric, which is our custom-made decal projection. In certain places, the fabric has to be moving because it's on a cube. So creating that type of custom our fitted decal projection was one of the biggest challenges, and we had the best SD teams we could ask for. Fabric projection was the hardest one, and we got there.
For a student project, our game looks really stunning. It's really beautiful. The mouse cat is really cute. The mechanics are very unique, and the puzzles we made out of the mechanic are just amazing.
Getting to sit with a mechanic and figuring out, okay, how is this going to play with the player? Is this intuitive? Is this fun? That's always the hardest, probably one to get. And then just refining it and saying okay, how can we make it better with each little small iteration?
When we actually ask the level designers to do action blocks and try to block out the levels as they think it's fun, then we kind of figure out it's actually, so this fabric functionality that you can throw a needle and sew a fabric works much more better if we do a heavy platform and light puzzle to it. Most of the time we are using puzzles to try to break up the flow of this game. So imagine you get into the game and you are challenged by a really cool and just fast-paced section of platforming, and now you're like, alright, I complete this challenge, I need some rest. So here's the time we put 1 or 2 light puzzles. It's I solve this puzzle so I can keep progress and I can do more platforming instead of I'm doing platforming to solve this puzzle.
One thing I'm proud of our game is the way we build the game, not from a gameplay perspective, but from even my grandma who know nothing about English and really hard to see can play our game.
Let's say your grandmother wants to speedrun the game. She can see what time she has because the HUD is enlarged. She can see how many cheese you have collected. We made enlarged HUD UI option. If you enable that option in the accessibility settings, it makes the HUD bigger and it makes the font bigger. We added black outlines and we made a ring reticle. So if you feel motion sick, you can enable that feature. And we have localization in Korean, Hindi, simplified Chinese, English, and Telugu.
Thinking about how far we've come with making this game and thinking about how we started prototype back in summer is insane. A lot of what artists did is figure out how to make the visual aspect of those work to work with the fun that they had to make the game. A lot of what we learned here, especially in this short time frame, is how important it is to be organized and how important it is to communicate. It's a lot of knowing your team and knowing how they like to receive information, how they like to work on stuff, and just knowing their personalities and workflows.
So even though we are classmates, we're friends, but having that degree of professionality in getting a game from prototyping phases to idea and to final shipping quality is a really good experience. This is almost like making a real game outside. So I would say we are pretty much in the industry right from the school itself.
Guildhall has taught me the iterative outward spiral based game development process where we start off as proof of concept technology. Can we even prove it that we can build the game? Then we move on to the level design aspect. Is the game fun? And then we move on to the art aspect of the game. And this spiral keeps on going outwards. So this milestone based approach definitely helps.
Understanding what it takes to hit this particular milestone, making a list of all the tasks that need to be achieved for this, dividing it between disciplines, planning for the entire sprint, communicating it with everybody, and was all a very good learning experience.
Over here, we're leading, especially in this project, a 20-person team, and that involves all the disciplines, that involves all the composers, and even we've done voice action a couple of weeks ago. So those kind of experiences, working with all those different disciplines, experiencing different pipelines, really set us up. Especially when we enter the industry, we know, how did it work out? So eventually we will start in a really entry-level position. We may just still end up working in a 2-person team, but knowing all the pipelines, knowing how the other team works, will really set us up to make our career growth faster and faster.
In summer, I was a little bit worried about how this game will finally look like, but it's crazy. We made this in how many months? 3 or 4 months? We made a game from scratch. We made this in crazy short amount of time.
The moment when the player first, gets the controller and they're jumping around, and then they actually jump towards some of the fabric and they merge in for the first time. That being the core special mechanic that makes our game just totally different than everything else that we're seeing right now.
Bro, it's out on Steam Deck. You should check it out. There is a mouse, you can go into fabric. What?